I have got some great news for you today. Thanks for stopping by. For those of you who don't know, my name is Mark, and I am a volunteer in the Florida Department of Corrections. I go in on Monday nights and I teach a class. I went back in 2 weeks ago and I taught the actual first class. And the first class is getting your mind right. Now, when I brought it into prison, I was there 2 hours. I'm not going to shoot a 2-hour long video, but I will abbreviate this as much as I can to keep it short, but I still want to deliver the message, the meat and potatoes, if you will. So I believe before them gentlemen, before you can make any changes in your life for the better that are significant, the very first thing you got to do is get your mind right. If your mind ain't right, then nothing else you do is going to matter. You can do the right things in the wrong order and still have disastrous consequences. So I believe the first order of things is getting your mind right. Have positive thoughts and combat negative thinking. So without further ado, here we go. The power of thought. Our thoughts influence our emotions. In turn, they affect our behavior and choices. By cultivating a positive mindset, challenging thoughts, and harnessing the power of visualization, we can take control of our lives and create a more fulfilling future. So before I go any further, let me explain that. Everything that you see, everything you can put your eyes on, it started as a thought. Whatever it is you can look at, started as a thought. And thoughts are the building blocks of our reality. Just like atoms and molecules are the building blocks of matter. Our thoughts create our reality. You get and you become what you think about. That's why it's so important to guard your mind and to combat negative thoughts. Because negative thoughts will ruin your life. And negative thoughts will ruin your life when your life does not have to be ruined. If you could exchange positive thoughts for negative thoughts, you can live a better life. Period. Full stop. Thoughts are the creative force and the place of conception for everything. Everything started as a thought. They are the creative force and the place of conception for everything. Thoughts control your emotions. Thoughts give birth to action, which leads to the circumstances that you find yourself in the midst of right now. So I just want to go over that again before I go further. I want to establish the baseline. Thoughts are the point of conception for everything in your life. Every conversation you have, everything that you do that produces either a positive result or a negative result, it starts as a thought. If you can control your thoughts, you can control yourself. You can control your emotions. If you change your thoughts, you'll change your perception. You will change the way that you see things. Positive thinking refers to the habit, and you have to excuse me here, I'm referring to my notes. Positive thinking refers to the habit of focusing on optimistic thoughts and expecting favorable outcomes. That's what positive thinking is. It's the habit of focusing on optimistic thoughts and expecting favorable outcomes. If you walk around in life and you're optimistic, if you're always looking for the best, if you're seeing the best in a worse situation, and you're expecting favorable outcomes, it's not very likely that you're going to walk around depressed. It just don't work that way. Positive thoughts do not lead to depression. Positive thoughts do not lead to anxiety. Positive thoughts do not lead to stress. Just something to think about. Positive thinking, it releases endorphins and dopamine in our brain and helps to elevate our mood. Positive thinking gives us hope and then gives us strength. I have seen some men in prison with life sentences who are never getting out. Never. And they can be some of the most cheerful people that I've ever been around. And that's because circumstances do not determine your outlook. Circumstances do not determine your mood. There are people who find good in everything. It would behoove you to be one of those people. Man, you can turn your whole life around. It all starts with your thoughts. And having positive thoughts has a positive effect on your body. It releases the endorphins and the dopamine in your brain. It elevates your mood. And you go around the day feeling good about the day and about yourself just by having positive thoughts. It's something you got to train yourself to do. The reason you got to train yourself to do it is because so often we entertain negative thoughts. And that's what we're going to talk about next. Negative thoughts can have a detrimental effect on your emotions and well-being. Negative thoughts negatively affect our emotions and leads to depression and loss of interest in anything. So obviously you can see there's a difference in the physical effect on your body between entertaining positive thoughts and entertaining negative thoughts. How do you control this? There's a few ways. You are in control of you. Each day, every day, all the time, you are in control of you. You can't stop a bird from flying over your head, but you can stop that bird from making a nest in your hair. And what that means is we're all human and we're all subject to have a negative thought now and then. And sometimes we're even bombarded with negative thoughts. That's when you have to take control of you and say, I'm not going to entertain this thought. I'm not going to dwell on this thought. I am going to change my focus. And folks, how I do that, if I'm having a really bad day, if I'm really stressed out, if I really feel it, anxiety coming on me, or depression, or some sort of panic, or some sort of emotional rage or outrage, if I feel it coming on me, the first thing I do is I stop and I take control of me. I take control of my thoughts. And for me personally, I begin to give praise. I begin to give praise to the Lord for all the things that I have. I begin to count my blessings. I begin to count the things that are going for me. I begin to count all my wins. I begin to focus on all my progress. I may not be where I want to be. I may not have all the things that I want to have. And I may not have accomplished all the things that I want to accomplish. But I have made lots of progress in that direction. And when I take my eyes off of what I don't have, and I begin to focus on what I do have, it changes my whole mood. And it'll change your mood too. You got to focus on your blessings. You got to focus on the things that are going right in your life. You have to focus on the good. That's one way to help fight. The other way that I fight negative thoughts, depression, anxiety, I like to make true connections. I connect with nature. I connect with God. And I connect with other people that are positive. It's just like when you take a plug to an appliance and you plug it in and you make a connection. And electricity, you get life, you get energy. I like to get around people who have something going on in their life. I'll pick up the phone, I'll call a friend, I'll have a conversation about positive things. Sometimes I'll take off my shoes and I'll just go outside in the backyard. I'll walk around on the grass. I'll connect with nature, ground myself, put my hands up in the air, and I'll just thank the good Lord for the things that there are I'll be thankful for. I thank Him for the day. I thank Him for my life. I thank Him for my health. I thank Him for my kids. I thank Him for my wife. I thank Him that I've lived to be 50 years old. You know, there's a whole lot of people I grew up with that are no longer here. I got members in my family who have passed away in the last 12 months. Several. I'm still here. Growing old is a privilege denied to many. And it's a privilege that the Lord has allowed me to see 50 years. I'm hoping He'll let me see another 50. It's an exercise. It's just like when you go out to that weight yard or you join a gym and you're in there for your first day. Oh, it's hard. The weight's hard to push. The calisthenics are hard to do. You haven't built up the wind to do it. It's difficult. It's effort. It's labor. You have to want to do it. And sometimes you got to push through. when your whole body's screaming, quit, 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 you got to be determined and you got to push through. But once you do that, oh man, you get the release of the endorphins and the dopamine, and you've accomplished your goal and you didn't quit. You look in the mirror, you got a little bit of sweat running down your face, and you're happy with what you see in the mirror. That's how it is when you're combating negative thoughts. You have to do it intentionally. You have to do it purposely. You have to focus on it. You got to push through, and you can't stop, because you can't let the negative thoughts rule your mind. You can't do it, because once you start having negative thoughts, you'll start having negative conversations. And when you're having negative conversations, it'll lead to negative actions. And negative actions are going to put you in the middle of a set of negative circumstances that you don't want to be in. You can combat all this by having positive thoughts. Another way is to have goals. You can't really get distracted by all the things you don't have and all the things that are going wrong in your life if you have goals and you're focused on your goals and you're moving forward every day. So I would suggest, as a way to feel better about yourself and as a way to combat negative thoughts and negative thinking, I would suggest that you write yourself down a list of goals. Daily goals, weekly goals, monthly goals, and set yourself up a plan where you want to be 6 months from now, where you want to be 12 months from now, where you want to be 36 months from now, where you want to be 60 months from now, and focus on that, on the next step required to accomplish that goal. And anything that does not support that, you have to eliminate. You have to eliminate. I suggest when you're setting your goals that you begin with the end in mind. Already know what the end is, how you want it to look at the end, and reverse engineer that. If I want this, I get this by doing this step, this step, this step, this step, this step, this step. You start here and you begin to work towards that. If you're waking up in the morning and you got no purpose, you got no goal, then you're going to drift through the day as the wind blows. You're not going to be grounded. You're not going to be connected. You're going to have negative thoughts that lead your mind. You can accomplish any goal that you want to. I'm wrapping this up here, but you can accomplish any goal that you want to using the 1-3-5 method. It's like a GPS system. You have one goal. You have 3 ways to support that goal or to achieve that goal. 3 strategies. And then you have 5 action steps for each one of those 3 supporting strategies. I'll give you an example. I want to grow my YouTube channel. So I started a YouTube channel. I post consistently. That's one strategy. I post on other platforms in order to help it grow. And I tell people about my YouTube channel. That's my 3 strategies for growth. With posting consistently, I post shorts, I post long form content, I post from my books. That's massive action. And anytime you employ massive action, you get massive results. So I've reached the end of this lesson, and I kept it to about 20 minutes or so. When I was in there, I went into more detail on things, and it stretched out to be about 2 hours, but I don't want to take up 2 hours of your time on YouTube, so I condensed it. But I appreciate if you like this video. I appreciate if you subscribe to this channel, because next, when I do going back to prison day 10, and I talk about that class, it's all about raising your personal standards. And you're not going to want to miss that, because that is a great one. So I appreciate you. My name is Mark Cass. I have a website, markwcass.com, where you can get my books. Thank you. Up your averages.